Hello, you're listening to Lists and Other Things That No One Asked For with Jesse Barbin, your weekly mini podcast where stuff usually takes the form of a list about pop culture, music, growing up. So, I hope you like it. Best stuff of the year, go! TV, Fargo. There's very few shows I would rewatch, but I really liked Fargo. I liked it so much that I've already rewatched it, I think a few times. That first episode just takes off running and it never stops. It's one of the most fun and also most stressful shows I've seen in a long time, and could be triggering, but it's about a housewife who gets abducted, and then it turns out she's not who she says she is, and it has John Hamm being John Hamm. It's a good time. It has a guy from New Girl. It's winners all around. Next is Bad Monkey. I really liked the book by Carl Hyacin. I know some of his writing is aimed directly at middle-aged dudes, and that's probably why I like it so much. It's filmed in Florida and the Bahamas and looks amazing. Vince Vaughn and Natalie Martinez are really great at their banter, and overall I found the dialogue quite funny. The ending is different than the book, but it was still good. As a side note, whatever they've done to Vince Vaughn's hair makes him look like a vampire, but I got over that after a few episodes. I'm also really into NCIS Origins, as I mentioned previously. I say that as a person who was not ever into NCIS Original Recipe. It's a really fun watch. I can't put my finger on why, though, and it's a mystery to me. It's set in the 90s. That one guy has a pretty sweet mustache. It's pure escapist melodrama mixed in with a weekly crime procedural. Something in there is why I like it so much. There are so many other shows that I want to watch and I should watch, like I've read they're so good or I've heard they're so good, but I haven't watched any of them because I don't have the time. I think it's the nature of becoming old. Now, music. Also, on the nature of being old, I'm pretty sure I didn't go to even one show this year, which is absurd to me. Kind of disheartening, kind of depressing. I did go to multiple middle school band concerts though, but not one punk show, not one anything. I think this is the first year of my life, barring pandemic, where I haven't seen any bands play. Like, I've not gone to any live music. That's what happens when you're a millennial with 3 jobs just trying to survive another Trump presidency. There's not a lot of time for superfluous stuff that costs money. For best music of the year, my Spotify Wrapped was messed up, and I'll put a link to the playlist it generated in the show notes. That's mostly because I primarily listen to it with my kids in the car, and they prefer to listen exclusively to K-pop and Taylor Swift, which is fine. It's just not my preference. I can't flex on people about my good music taste when my number one artist for 2024 is BTS. But then again, I've kind of embraced the BTS. Just let it wash over you, and it kind of is this is nice, you know? I used to be able to be conversant in what was new and interesting, but who has time for that? And also, when I was growing up, to be fair, we listened to the radio, for crying out loud. You could discover new music off the radio, and there was only a finite amount of bands and things you could know. Now there's so many bands and so many genres, there's no way to even scratch the surface of all the music that's out there. So I don't even try. Implants had a new album that's really good. That's all I can remember. I made a best of 2024 playlist, and when I looked at it, everything on there was older than 2024 except for some reggaeton songs, because I am such a poser. New music is hitting me 1 to 3 years after it has already been released. That brings us to movies. I don't think I saw any movies either. Wait, scratch that. I saw Twisters with my wife. It was a really fun movie, surprisingly. Relatively lightweight and low stakes with attractive people shooting the stuff that comes in those little silica packets into tornadoes. What's not to love about that? I think I'm also going to take my kids to see Sonic 3 the week of Christmas because why not? I love John Ralphio. Everybody loves Keanu Reeves. Seems like a slam dunk. Next is books. I was comparing Goodreads year in books lists with my wife, and she read so many more books than me. I think most people read more books than me. I'm not that smart. Nothing in here is super intelligent or going to expand your mind. But the best book I read this year was Sea of Rust by C. Robert Cargill, which is about a robot uprising that eradicates humanity, and then the robots are left to kind of sort out what's next, and it's very interesting. Runner-up will be Starter Villain by John Scalzi. It's about a guy who learns to be a villain. Scalzi is an author I have loved since his debut novel, Old Man's War, and he's never let me down. Not one dud in his whole catalog. Also worth mentioning is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. It was also very good. I was on a real haunted house tear during the summer. This is my favorite one. T-Shirt Swim Club by Ian Carmel was also great. I don't generally like comedy memoir type books. I feel like there's just so many of them and most of them are just filler. But this one was surprisingly interesting. Ian Carmel co-authored it with his sister, who's a psychologist or a social worker. I don't remember. I'm not going to go back and look. I don't have time for that. It's about being fat, which I relate to more and more every year. Again, most of these books and stuff probably didn't come out this year. I just found out about them this year. Like I said, I am decidedly not on the cutting edge of culture. Now we have the other category. So it's with bittersweet emotion that I will mention this next one. I got to work at the Middle Ground Comedy Festival before I left Indianapolis, and it ruled. Bittersweet because it was so much fun, and also, now I don't live there anymore, so I probably won't get to do that again. My favorite performer by far was Gabby Watts, and her special dropped on YouTube this month, and it rules. There were lots of good comedy specials that came out this year, such as Nathan McIntosh, Fahim Anwar, Shanda Sung, Kyle Kinane, Ali Wong, Rose Matafeo, Ronnie Ching, Cat Williams, Hannah Gadsby, and a bunch more that I can't think of off the top of my head. I should have made a comedy category in this list. I don't know why I didn't. I bill myself as a comedian, in air quotes, after all, so this is a huge oversight on my part. To be fair, it is difficult for me to write descriptively about comedy, as for me, a lot of it boils down to, I laughed really hard. Let's see what else. I started using the Paprika app to keep track of recipes. My mom had been telling me about it for years, but I started using it this fall, and it saves all my recipes in one place, and it's very helpful. Last but not least, I bought a custom Quad 100 DFX 2x12 guitar combo amp on Craigslist for $80 because I had one in my teens. And I got strangely sad plugging into it now that I'm so far removed from my teens. Have you ever gotten weirdly sentimental about some junky thing from your youth? Thus is the nature of growing up, I suppose. I hope everyone had a good 2024. Thanks for listening. You're the best. Thank you for listening. This has been Lists and Other Things That No One Asked For by Jesse Barbin. If you want to hang out with me, I'm at Jesse Barbin on all the things. Hope you have a good week. My gosh, why is this sentence so hard? I'm falling apart here at the end.